What's up guys, how are y'all doing today? Today I'm going to be talking about the new battery that has actually been leaked. This could literally be the next battery that Tesla is developing, the Roadrunner battery, their in-house battery cell. So before we get started, like the video and subscribe if you haven't because there's a lot to talk about. Let's begin. So this is a picture of the battery cell that could be going into future Tesla vehicles leaked by an anonymous source to Electrek. Now, this battery cell, first of all, looks pretty big. It pretty much looks like a soda can, and that is not a bad thing. That actually increases the energy density of the battery. And this battery cell is predicted to have an energy density or just a capacity 10 times that of the 2170 cells in the Model 3 and Y today. This cell, I predict, is actually gonna go in the Model S and X vehicles. Those are using the 18650 cells, old technology. They barely get 250 kilowatt of charging. This cell will greatly improve all of that, and what I think is going to happen is there's going to be a range increase. Now these cells could have a 20% improvement in energy density at the pack level, purely because these cells are larger, which means they take up less space for the outside shell. And what that's going to mean is that this battery pack could be larger, which means if there's a 20% increase, that could mean a 120 kilowatt hour battery pack without any real changes to the battery design and whatnot. But I do feel like there's going to be battery design and maybe chemistry changes. And if those battery chemistry changes do happen, what's going to happen is a Tesla Model S can go possibly 600 miles. This number is obviously taken completely out of my head. It's just like there's no really math to it. But basically, people are actually predicting that the batteries could actually be so big. Like the entire battery pack could be 190, 200 kilowatt hours, just like the Roadster. That will be huge. First of all, if it's going to go in the Roadster, you already know the Roadster is going to have at least a 700 mile range, which is impressive on its own. But Model S and X could get a range of over 500 miles. That's like the minimum amount of range that you can actually expect. Now, I don't want to get like your expectations up because battery day is literally in a few days, 5 days from now. I don't want to kind of blow your mind, but this is kind of a big deal. Now, for example, with this 20% improvement, if we can get this on the Model 3, this would bump up the standard range plus model, the range of the standard range plus model, to 300 miles. This could also be exactly what Elon was talking about, where the standard range for most of their vehicles will be 300 miles. And this is a good thing because now the Model 3 will have maybe a range of 300 miles, EPA rated. Model Y gets a range of over 300 miles. I doubt that this battery is going to come to the Model 3 and Y right now, maybe later on, 2022, 2023, as the price drops, as they can actually improve their cell manufacturing processes and everything included with it, because that actually reduces the cost as you can scale that up and mass produce the cell. And what that's going to mean is that this cell, if it does go in the 3 and Y later in the future, maybe after Cybertruck or whatever, during that same time when the Cybertruck ramp is going to begin, what that's going to mean for the Model 3 and Y is that the lowest range Tesla can actually be 300 miles. And that would push the Model 3 long range and the Model Y long range. Those cars could have a range of almost 400 miles. That is a really big deal because now those more mass market cars can have a range of 400 miles. 300 miles is like not really an issue for most people. It's pretty good. Now, only a few people might want more. Maybe you're towing something, maybe you're doing something extra, maybe you have a roof on the top of your car, whatever you want, and that actually reduces the range quite a bit because Teslas are very efficient and most of the other accessories are not. Now, if you can get 400 miles of range on that, now you're towing a trailer with your Model Y, for example, you lose half the range. So now you still have 200 miles of range on a Model Y. That is big news. That blows my mind just thinking about it. So there's going to be more advances to this technology, of course. Now, there are going to be more charging speed increases, which I don't even want to talk about because Elon actually mentioned, this was a while back actually, but he specifically quoted that a mere 350 kilowatts? What are you referring to? A children's toy? So what we can infer from that is that the new battery, although it will be bigger, but it'll be capable of more or higher charge rates than 350 kilowatts. Now, here's another clue. from the Cybertruck unveil, they did say that the Cybertruck will get higher than 250 kilowatts of max charging speed, which means these batteries could actually be going into the Cybertruck. They would have to ramp up the batteries quite heavily and actually get them. And obviously, as Elon said in the earnings call, they're going to need a lot of nickel, which actually makes total sense because this is a big battery. You're adding more capacity, adding more than 100 kilowatt hours to the Model S and X, which will raise their range to 400 plus miles. Cybertruck could use these cells and actually get a 500, maybe even 600 mile range eventually as their technology and their efficiency improves. All of this added together, and now you have an over 350 kilowatts of charging, which is basically the maximum amount of charging any car has today, which no car actually has today, to be honest. Only cars coming in the future, like the Lucid Air, is really gonna support 350 kilowatts. Porsche did say that they would have 350 kilowatts for the charging speed or max charging speed for the Taycan, but turns out it's actually about 270, which isn't really that bad of a deal. But considering Elon does want to get to 350 kilowatts or over 350 kilowatts, that could be a massive deal to this battery advantage. Obviously, this is a tabless electrode battery, something like that, which means this battery will generate less heat as well. You can kind of think it as like a toilet roll. Basically, the electrons have to like go round and 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 round, and now they come out. Whereas now with the tabless electrode and the entire top part is basically a tab, what you can do is electrons, instead of going round and round and round and then eventually like increase or whatever, which generates a lot of heat, what the electrons can do is literally zip out, right? Just like that. And that's gonna really reduce the impact or just the heat generation in the battery pack as a whole. And obviously Tesla batteries have been known to, you know, generate heat when like under a lot of load, supercharging. Obviously the new battery cell with the 2170 cells, that actually helped. Obviously they have better cooling. Why am I saying obviously too much? I don't know. Now with the new battery cells, which are probably going to go in the Plaid Model S and X and possibly the long range Model S and X when that gets updated, this is going to be a big deal. Now imagine you buy a Model S today. It has a 500 mile range. It can charge at over 250 kilowatts. And here's the thing about charging over 250 kilowatts. Even though Tesla doesn't have the chargers of 250 kilowatts, what that means is that the Model S can sustain 250 kilowatts for longer if it can charge quicker. So basically what will happen is it'll spike up to 250 kilowatts, stay there, and then slowly drop maybe around 40, 50, 60%, depending on how their battery cell is and how much heat is generating. Because the limit to charging speed isn't really how much current you can actually push into the battery, although that is a concern, but usually it's heat. Heat is always the concern. So if they can figure out how to get the heat managed and under control, this will be a big deal. I don't know how many times I'm actually emphasizing this is a big deal, because this is actually going to be amazing. And this isn't the entire story. This is just the beginning. This is just one thing that leaked. We have no information how this is actually going to be implemented. We don't know what the cost is on the pack level. The motor efficiencies with the 3-motor setup, obviously it's less efficient than a dual motor, but nonetheless, with those efficiencies added together, you can still have a car, Model S Plaid Edition, that can go, I'm guessing 2.1 seconds, but I'm pretty sure it would be less than that. Probably less than 2 seconds, sub 2 seconds, 1.9, who knows. Base model Roadster, today we can expect that to be more like 1.8 seconds. Obviously, you don't want to go too much because then you're getting to the limit of your traction, your tires and whatnot, but about 1.8, 1.85 seconds. That is highly doable for the Roadster today. Model S can probably beat that to 2 seconds, maybe 1.9 seconds. I cannot emphasize this enough. This battery leak that we got was amazing. It was actually amazing, and honestly, it did not ruin the fun because Elon actually responded to it that there's going to be more impressive things coming up on Battery Day. So just with whatever I said and all the conjecture that I actually made with like 350 plus kilowatts of charging, 600 plus miles of range. Now imagine if there's more. And imagine if this was just like the teaser. My mind is blown already. Okay, Elon did say his mind is blown in the Q4 2019 earnings call. So my mind is just being blown just by that much. 600 mile range Model S, maybe 500 mile range Model X. Who knows? Plaid Edition. Less than 2 seconds 0 to 60, likely less than 9.9 second quarter mile time with probably 150 miles an hour, which is quicker than the Taycan, which basically only $1 million supercars or really hypercars can achieve. Dude, there's gonna be a big, literally a big deal. Now another thing they can also do is basically increase the range of the long range Model 3 but use less cells. like use less of those cells, because obviously your capacity will increase but keep the battery pack around 75-80 kilowatt hours. But that would mean that you are using less material, which obviously reduces your weight, and that will increase your efficiency just a bit. And plus charging speed, you can probably charge at 250 kilowatts for longer, and that would mean that the charging time from a Model 3 today, which was about 15 to 20 minutes on Version 3 superchargers, could drop to under 10 minutes. And holy shit, if a Model S and X could charge 400 miles in 10 minutes, that's like almost on par with gas. Damn. I am really hyped up. I'm really excited to see what's happening on Battery Day. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, what you actually think about this and whatever I said, if you think it'll become a reality or if these specs are just completely unbelievable. Let me know all that in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Peace.